take out the safety instructions card. I'm like, oh, let me see what my brace position is. Hello there, I'm Meg from MegsWanderings. I'm a travel content creator and a flight attendant, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to evacuate yourself. Today is a very exciting day. I'm going to be teaching you how to evacuate yourself from a plane the proper way, giving you some survival tips and tricks, if you could call them that. Some things every flight attendant knows, but not many passengers know. So I hope this is going to be useful if you're ever so unfortunate to find yourself in such a situation, which I hope you don't. But anyway, if you do, you know, you're gonna be very glad you watched this video. Not that you're going to remember about it. You're going to be too busy screaming for your mama. As cabin crew, our main purpose on board is to make sure that during an evacuation, as many people as possible get out alive and safe. We go through rigorous trainings from a classroom to actual plane mock-ups, where we're giving all kinds of scenarios that we have to roleplay in order to get used to the military style drills that we have to do. And that's actually a fun fact. This is why if you watch some YouTube videos about emergency landings, maybe you can hear in the back somewhere that someone is screaming, bend down, stay down, brace, you know, something, but they're constantly doing it. Bend down, stay down, bend down, stay down, bend down. And this is like till the plane actually comes to a complete stop. And I've seen so many comments and I'm baffled. But I've seen so many comments of people saying, oh my god, it's not an emergency, and if the flight attendants weren't shouting like psychos, no one is going to be panicked, blah blah blah. Okay, like, flight attendants are not shouting like psychos because they are scared or because they want to panic you. They're shouting because this is something they do. It's sort of a military tactic. It's like giving commands. In a situation when your life is in danger, when you don't know what to do, when there's a possibility for you to freeze your mind, it's just more easier for your brain to kind of follow orders. You don't know what to do. It's something that you've never experienced before, and you hear someone tell you, bend down, stay down, you know, and your brain is automatically, okay, someone is telling me what to do, so I better do that because I don't know what to do, because I've never been in I've never been in such a situation. I've never experienced this, so I better listen to what's being told to me. So this is why we do that, even though, you know, it can be like just a super normal landing, everything's fine, blah blah blah, you disembark like normal passengers, but you never actually know what's going to happen until it actually happens. So when we are given the task to prepare for an emergency landing, and when we hear certain commands from the flight deck, we have to do this. Get it? So there's really no one better to ask how to save your life in such a situation than cabin crew, because this is all we train for, and I mean it. I started to write some notes for this video, and then I realized that there are so many different cases when you can, you know, experience some sort of emergency and it can result in an evacuation, that I actually decided that I'm going to split this and make it a series, because when I was writing the notes for this video, it was huge. It was going to be like a 3-hour-long video. And you have, for example, prepared emergencies, unprepared emergencies, you have ditching, you have all sorts of things. So I decided to make a series and give you tips about how to think, how to behave, and how to possibly be able to remain calm and evacuate yourself. More than, I don't know how many, 90-something% of crashes are survivable. So you better listen. So let's start. The most common emergency landing is a prepared emergency landing. However, I decided to make the first video about unprepared ditching, because that's very common. Anyway, today I'm going to be teaching you how to survive an unprepared ditching, which in other terms means crashing into fucking water. Ditching usually has a very poor survival rate. So what should you do if you're unfortunate enough to find yourself in a similar situation, which I hope you don't, but just no. First of all, when talking about unprepared emergency landings, there's this small thing, small obstacle. It's that you don't have time. You don't have time to prepare. You don't have time to prepare mentally, physically. You don't have time to do anything. And this is why it's more fatal. Because with preparation, you can prepare yourself. There are steps that you can take that will make it more likely for you not to get fatally injured. In normal circumstances, there are checklists that need to be followed. You will be given instructions by the crew, but in an unprepared emergency landing, especially ditching, there will be no time for that. In the unlikely event of something like this ever happening to you, you need to think fast. And if you hear brace, that means you usually have about 30 seconds until the impact. You have only 30 seconds to prepare, 20 of which you'll be just realizing that, oh, probably I'm gonna be dead in about a minute. But the first thing that you have to be thinking about is what I will do if I survive. Because if you die, you know, you don't care, you're dead. But if you survive, it would have been really nice to kind of prepare a little plan for yourself. So the most important thing that you should do is locate your nearest exit. Second thing you should do, adopt your brace position. Your brace position depends largely on where exactly are you going to be sitting, but most people have a seat in front of them. So if you have a seat in front of you, it should look a little bit like this. If you don't have a seat in front of you, it's the first one. This is why flight attendants always tell you to check the safety instructions card located in the seat pocket in front of you, so you can actually see all those things. So you kind of have them memorized visually. So when you actually have to do it, you don't have to take out the safety instructions card. I'm like, oh, let me see what my brace position is. Important things you should know about your brace position. Do not do this. Do not do this. Do not, you know, just don't intertwine your fingers because you're going to break them. You have to make sure that you make yourself as small and compact as possible so that your limbs just don't detach upon impact. And the most important thing, protect your head. You can live without an arm, but you cannot live without your head. Not in 2020, maybe in 2055. So these are the two most important things when you have absolutely no time. Locate your nearest emergency exit and to adopt your brace position. I always suggest people locating their emergency exit literally when boarding the aircraft. When you take your seat, just look around, you know? How many seats are there until your nearest exit? The nearest exit might be right behind you, so just the best way to locate it is to count the actual seats to it. Because if you crash land somewhere and there's fire and smoke and you're dizzy and you can't see anything, maybe you won't be able to see it, but you will know how many seats do you have to touch until you reach the exit. If you have some more time to prepare, take your life vest from underneath your seat and put it on. Do not, I repeat, do not inflate it. Again, locate the nearest exit, count the seats. If you have a chewing gum, spit it out. If you have glasses, take them off of your head. Take off any earrings, take off any rings, anything sharp that can pierce your body somewhere and kill you. Wouldn't that be fun to survive the actual crash and then you get pierced by your fucking ring in your neck? Doesn't sound like fun, does it? Another important thing, visualize how to open your seatbelt. If you have a second, just try to open it, close it, just to see how it works. Because the seatbelt on an aircraft and on the car, they're two completely different things. They have nothing in common. And the sad thing is that there are so many statistics that show that people actually do survive the initial impact, but then they die because they cannot open their seatbelt in a state of panic. I cannot tell you, I really cannot tell you how many times a day I have to actually show individually to someone how to open and how to close the seatbelt because they have absolutely no clue. Even though we show it on the safety demo, even though you have it on the safety card, even though you know it's probably not their first flight. But it's something that you just don't think about, and it's not something that you usually use all the time, so that's why it's a good thing to just at least visualize how exactly do you open it. It's not pushing, that's not gonna work for you. In the event of ditching, as I said, just a fancy term of crashing into water, evacuation should start immediately. So open that seatbelt. Do not take anything with you. Not your phone, not your laptop, not your wallet, nothing. And you know, when saying this, I tell this to people and they're like, yeah, I'm not crazy. I value my life more than I value my passport. Yeah, but no, you would think that, wouldn't you? No, like, As I've said in some previous videos, I think I have watched every single episode of air crash investigations, and trust me, people are stupid. People will take their suitcases. People, like, we had an evacuation, not me, but some colleagues, they had an evacuation a few months ago, and there were some videos on the internet of it, and it's like people sliding with their suitcases, with their bags, with their purses, with their everything, you know? Actual evacuation, people can die. No one died in this case, but you never know when it's going to happen. And can you imagine you dying because some fucking idiot decided to take their suitcase from the bin to slide with it on the slide? It's incomprehensible to me. And usually when I say this to my friends, they're like, yeah, of course I'm not gonna take it, but I've seen too many people take their luggage. There are so many cases when people actually did die because other people were too busy taking their luggage. Anyway, moving on. You open your seatbelt, you're not taking anything with you. Do you hear anything? Do you hear any commands? Is the crew saying something? Is the crew shouting something? Is the crew alive? Do they look conscious? Just look for the crew. First, listen for the crew, because most probably they'll be already shouting commands. If they're doing their drills, follow their commands. Follow exactly what they say. As I said, this is why we're there. We have special mechanisms in place in order to evacuate absolutely everyone in the 90-second time frame. But if people won't listen, we cannot perform this fast, and people are going to die. If no one is giving you any commands and the crew is unconscious, you are on your own. If your nearest exit is open already, go out, jump, and only after that inflate your life vest. If the exit is not opened, look through the window. What's going on? Is there a raging fire? Is the water level up to your nose? If so, do not open it. You need to properly assess the situation, because opening an emergency exit when there's an outside threat could be so much more dangerous than just leaving it closed and redirecting yourself to the next emergency exit. Opening it can just result in water getting in the plane even faster, drowning people even faster. If there are no obstacles, the water level seems fine, there is no raging fire outside, you just look for a handle. It's usually a bright colored handle. You have to pull it, you have to push it, you have to just do something with it. It's going to be very logical, and you have to do it. The slides are always armed when you're flying, so you don't need to worry about this. But if the slide is not inflating, you're going to have to inflate it manually. There should be another handle somewhere, but it should be in the door frame, something that you can actually see. Pull this thing, it's going to inflate the slide. Go out and only then inflate your life vest. I'm going to tell you in just a minute why you should never ever inflate your life vest in the plane. But just before that, I'd like to go over something else. So when you go out, you should try to stay on the raft or on a dry place. The raft will be connected to the plane with a line which should be cut, because while the plane is sinking down, you don't want the raft to sink down with it. There should be somewhere on the raft, there should be a device with which you can actually cut this line, connecting it to the plane. Okay, so you're out, you're alive, but you're freezing. The water temperature is minus, I don't know how much, but it's cold. It's always cold. So what do? You have to stay in the general vicinity of the aircraft so that the search and rescue teams can find you easily. Stay clear of fuel contaminated water. If you are not on the raft, if you're in the water, the most important thing is to conserve heat. As I said, the water is usually very cold, so the most important thing is to keep your vital organs as warm as possible. How do you do that? You have to bend your legs, okay? You have to bend your legs and hug yourself like this. This way you are conserving more heat in the torso area, which is the most important area given the constellation of organs you have. To conserve heat, you have to have a mind of people. Symptoms of hypothermia can start within 10 minutes after you're in the water. If you're being rescued by helicopters, do not remove your life vest until you're already up. If they use a rescue harness, wait for it to touch the water before you touch it, since it may release static electricity. So let me tell you now why you should never ever inflate your life vest on the plane if you're ditching. This is crucial as, of course, many people have died because of this mistake. Okay, so just imagine if there's a rising water level on the plane and you have already inflated your life vest. What does it do for you? You are in a metal tube which is filling with water, and so your life vest is pushing you on top of the water, which is filling up the whole space. So at the end you're going to be stuck on the ceiling, not being able to dive down so you can maybe find an exit, which is already underwater. So your life vest is basically going to drown you, and this is why it's crucial for people to inflate it only after they're outside of the plane. Just a quick little disclaimer, I'm giving you just various different scenarios and what to do if you are all alone, if there's no one from the crew who can help you. But please keep in mind that in any kind of emergency situation, you should always follow crew instructions if they're available. If you landed somewhere and the crew is telling you stay seated, do not jump up to open an emergency exit and deploy a slide, okay? In some cases this can be more dangerous as this can cause unnecessary panic, and evacuation itself can cause injuries. So if there's no need to evacuate, it's better not to. And this is not a decision you have to make, it's a decision that the crew has to make. And if you have available instructions from them, you should always do what they tell you. What I'm telling you here in this video is mostly if you're all alone, you don't know what's going on, everyone is dead, you know, this kind of situation. But if there's a crew giving you commands, follow them. This is why we're having all these trainings. This is why we're on board in the first place. As I've said many times before, it's not to pour coffee, it's not to ask chicken or beef, it's to do evacuations. It's to operate a flight and get you from point A to point B safe and alive. So if the crew is telling you to stay seated, they know what to do. Okay, that suddenly became way too serious, but anyway, actually that's it for it. I told you everything I wanted to tell you about unprepared ditching. I will be making more videos on this topic. As I said, I decided to make it a series. So if you don't want to miss any of the new videos, just subscribe. If you found this informative or entertaining in any way, shape or form, you feel free to like this video. And if you want to learn more about traveling, aviation and some other random topics I like to talk about, you can, as I said, subscribe to the channel. It's completely free and it's going to help me create more content like this. If you don't want to miss the next video in this series about how to evacuate yourself in different kinds of situations, you can click on the notification bell, which is located next to the subscribe button. It's going to notify you whenever there's a new video being uploaded. So stay safe and don't inflate your life vest on the plane. Oops. I would like to go something. But the more you know. Gee, I can't imagine what. Quarantine time, yay.